Hey, I just landed in Salt River Fields. I've been invited to come to the USS Arizona Memorial Gardens. Tonight's the night that they kick it off, and I think it opens to the public tomorrow. So kind of a special invite to be here, and I wanted to bring you along on the journey with me to experience some of the exciting stuff that's going on and some of the special things that are happening here in Salt River.
Hi, I'm Renata Reyna, and I'm an administrative secretary, and I'm here to greet the U.S. veterans and family members that are coming in to check out the USS AZ Memorial.
My name is Christine Porter. I'm the Youth Development Specialist for the Salt River Pima-Maricopa Indian Community. And right here, this is our Youth Council. We're here tonight. We're here tonight volunteering, helping out at the USS Arizona Memorial.
What was your motivational speech?
My motivational speech, it's just to greet people and seat them, and so to know the layout and what's our plan for tonight. So yeah, it was just organizing and letting them know where they need to be and put on their smiley faces.
I've known Christine for quite a few years from Fort McDowell and now here at Salt River, and I wanted to tell that she's doing a really good job with the youth. I walked in and they were all smiling at me, and I felt like they were my best friends because they were smiling and happy, and anyway, they're doing a great job, so glad they're here.
Hello!
Hi.
What are you all doing?
Escorting people to their seats.
Welcome.
This is training right here?
Training again.
Yeah!
Refresher.
I never trained on this one before. So I'm standing right at the front point of the boat of what it would be in real life, and so it goes all the way back along this side and the other side. It's the outline of the real size of the USS Arizona. So it'll be neat to see this later tonight when they turn the lights on and all of these poles are bright, and you can see the kind of the outline of how big the ship really was.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to tonight's dedication ceremony for the official dedication of the USS Arizona Memorial Gardens at Salt River. Thank you for being here on such a wonderful evening to be part of this ceremony. Our side boys tonight assisting with the honors are from the Salt River Pima-Maricopa Indian Community Combined Police Department and Fire Department Honor Guard. We are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, there are those who have endured and may still be enduring the agonies of pain, deprivation, and imprisonment. We now recognize our prisoners of war and those missing in action. We call your attention to this small table, which occupies a place of dignity and honor. It is set for one, symbolizing the fact that members of our armed forces are missing from our ranks. They are referred to as prisoners of war or missing in action. We call them comrades. They are unable to be with their loved ones and families, so we join together to pay humble tribute to them and bear witness to their continued absence. The table is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his or her suppressors. The tablecloth is white, symbolic of the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. The single rose in the vase signifies the blood they may have shed in sacrifice to ensure the freedom of our United States of America. This rose also reminds us of the family and friends of our missing comrades who keep faith while awaiting their return. The yellow ribbon tied on the vase represents sacrifices made by families and an unyielding determination for a proper accounting of our comrades who are not among us. A slice of lemon on the plate reminds us of their bitter fate. There is salt sprinkled on the plate, which reminds us of the countless fallen tears of families as they wait. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us at this time. The chair is empty. They are not here. The candle is reminiscent of the light of hope, which lives in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors to the open arms of a grateful nation. The American flag reminds us that many of them may never return and have paid the ultimate sacrifice to ensure our freedom. Let us remember and never forget their sacrifice. In the past, 2 bells marked end of day aboard ship. Certainly, this is a time to honor those who have departed and those still missing in action. The toll of the bell reminds us of the reverence we owe them and to those who guard our country on the sea, in the air, and on foreign soil. Let it be a reminder of the faith they confide in us and a reminder of our obligations to them, and observe an appropriate moment of silence in their honor. May God forever watch over them and their families. Well done, gentlemen. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm grateful this evening for the opportunity I have to welcome everyone here. I want to thank leadership for being here this evening. I don't know if you felt what I felt as those that were being called in this evening walked up to take their seats, especially Mr. Holder. I don't know if it's just me, but I always think about the prime time in their life that these men gave in serving our country for the freedom that we enjoy. This event this evening, we had the opportunity to be here this morning, and going over to the site after this event, which hopefully we'll all be able to go over, you can already feel it's a special place. And I believe that was what was in mind when our veterans group was working hard with those others that were mentioned to get this piece here. There's a lot of information that's shared at the site, and I encourage you to take time to look at the information that's shared on how the piece got here and just the history of the bombing of Pearl Harbor. I want to recognize our Native American veterans that are here. Thank you for your service, and thank you for taking time to be with us here this evening. I know we have groups from San Carlos and I believe Gila River that are here. And I want to thank all of the veterans, and I know I see veterans that are wearing hats that identify them as veterans. Thank you. And I know there's others that are here that we don't know if they served, but we want to say thank you for your service to our country. I want to point out our youth that are behind us here. They played a role in helping greet everybody here. We need to always remember and honor our veterans. Again, those that took time out of their lives to serve our country for the freedoms that we enjoy. Because if these young people do not see us honoring and recognizing those that took time out of their lives for the freedoms that we enjoy, when those conflicts arise, which they will, they're not going to see the value in serving our country. So we must never forget the freedoms that we enjoy. We must never forget those that served. So this evening, on behalf of our community, I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to this special event this evening. God bless you.
So they asked me to talk a little bit about who we are as O'odham and Pipash, our Pimas and the Maricopas. So the O'odham and the Pipash will historically call themselves protectors and defenders. We were never people that went out looking for fights or any type of war. It was mostly a peaceful cooperation with outsiders, starting with the Spanish explorers in the 17th century through the expansion of the United States in the mid-1800s, when war was necessary. It was often defensive in nature due to the attacks by hostile forces. The Pimas and the Maricopas soldiers served as the first Arizona volunteer infantry, designated as Company B and Company C in 1866. There were 103 men in Company B, with more O'odham serving as scouts to protect and escort wagon trains and American civilians passing through the Arizona territory. In 1912, Arizona formed Company F in the State National Guard, the first all-Indian unit in the nation. Despite not being citizens, all volunteered to fight in World War I. Company F fought on the Mexican border in the campaign against Pancho Villa before being sent to France in 1917 for the First World War, when President Woodrow Wilson declared war in Germany on April 1917. Company F became being part of the 158th Infantry Regimental 40th Division. In 1918, the 158th Infantry of the 48th Division had the opportunity to serve as a guard of honor to President Woodrow Wilson during his visit to France that same year. This event established the first connection to the USS Arizona. The USS Arizona joined 9 battleships and 28 destroyers to escort President Woodrow Wilson on the ocean liner, the George Washington, to the Paris Peace Conference. Company F, 1st Arizona Infantry, was deactivated shortly after the war and reactivated in World War II with the bombing of Pearl Harbor and the USS Arizona. And at that time, they served in the jungles, and there were a lot of Spanish, Mexican people, a lot of people from Oklahoma. I've got so many stories from people from Oklahoma. And that's where they got the name that they gave themselves, the Bushmaster, which is one of the most deadly snakes in the Philippines, I believe it was. Through the contacts, Joel Jefferson, a United States Marine Corps veteran who passed, who was in communication with Skip Wheeler, keeper of the flags of the USS Arizona Memorial at Pearl Harbor, Hickam Air Force Base in October 2007. The Bushmaster Post 114, including former Vice President Martin Rivera, was given special permission to go aboard the USS Arizona BB-39 Memorial and conduct appropriate military honors before the Wall of the Names. 2 O'odham songs were sung by myself and my son. An additional 2 songs were done by Mr. Bamnum Kina, who sang 2 Hopi Warrior songs. And our brother Rick Dumas also played a flute to honor all the veterans. The songs were for the fallen military and civilians who perished on that land. The flag was presented by the survivors of Pearl Harbor in a formal ceremony. The adjutant of American Legion Post 15, survivors of Pearl Harbor, Dr. Jose Riza, United States Army, made the request within the presentation by stating, "Open the flag on December 7th, and remember all who give their have given their lives while in service to this country and all of the civilians that passed. To our knowledge, there has been no other flag presented in history that carries that esteem, honor, and that request. From December 7, 2007 to present day, the community has kept that promise to the survivors. The flag is classified as a living ceremonial artifact, Accession number 2007-12.1.LCA. The annual breathing of the flag ceremony that takes place during the SRP-MIC Pearl Harbor Day event is a final tribute to all soldiers. The flag breathing ceremony was developed by the Bushmaster Post 114. There are only 2 ceremonies that the national flag is allowed to be dipped with honors rendered. 1, naval tradition when 2 ships pass each other, and 2, the flag breathing ceremony of the SRP-MIC. I read those things because it was a long way coming to get the peace that we have. And at that time, all of our veterans were there, and we got together, and when we sat down to eat, we talked about a lot of these things. And I wanted to mention Rick Dumas, Beulah Dumas, Ray Price, Cecilia Price, Joel Jefferson, Pat Jefferson, Thomas Jackson, and Byrd. But the others were 5 people that passed away. And at that time, we did the best we could. We all stood in line to receive the flag. And I remember I received the flag being the commander at that time. And when it was passed on to me, I presented it to the vice president. The vice president looked at me and said, "You guys came here for this, you take it." So I said, "Okay." So we got in line, and there were 30 or 40 people around us. And there were 5, other than Dr. Risa, there were 5 or 6 survivors that were there. So when we got in line, I presented the flag to the first person in line, and they in turn turned, did a salute to the flag, went to the next person, saluted the flag, and gave it to them, and it went on and on. There were at least 12 of us, so it was kind of a long line. And within that time, there were people crying, and I had a brother there that had a hard time with his back, and it was a time where we were on the go very quickly. So he was in pain, and you could tell his face was sweating, and he was hurting. And a lady out of the audience came up, and she wiped his brow, and all he could do was just stand there. And she was crying as she did it. But she also said that the same thing. Remember us civilians that died too. Remember us also on those days. So all that time when we got together, we talked about this and a peace. And the doors were slowly opening for us. So it took us 7 years to get this peace. There was one small piece that was given, but we were looking for a substantial, a bigger piece. So I want to ask my brothers here, Rick Hartman, Robert Flores, to stand. So Robert went over here and hid on this side. But these gentlemen were very instrumental in us getting this peace. They knew the military, and they knew the people to talk to. And without them, we never would have got this peace. So when we were told, our brother Thomas Jackson, he's a curator, and he had all the schematics of the ship. And he told us how important that piece was. So we tried our dangest to bring Elvis here to Elvis impersonator to try and do a song, because he actually sang for that piece to get that piece going, and when the funding ran out for the first memorial. But it's been a long journey, and I'm happy we're here now. And I want to thank all of you veterans that are out there that served also. And I want to leave with this little bit of a tidbit of information that I found. It said prior to the attack, the USS Arizona was damaged during fleet maneuvers just before it was heading to San Francisco to be outfitted with radar and other modern equipment. The Arizona remained for the repairs needed to go back to the States and was not supposed to be at Pearl Harbor on December 7th. In all, 2,403 sailors, Marines, soldiers, and Hawaiian civilians lost their lives on that day. Had Arizona been in San Francisco, there would have been 1,177 lost. And I bring this up, and I say this because our past president used to always say, we're not promised tomorrow. But if we live life to the fullest, and we remember those people that have passed on, that did this for the service of our country, that we prolong our own lives, and we prolong our own families' lives, and the children that come after. So I wanted to say this much, and thank you for this time.
Most of you know the sequence of events and the outcome of 7 December 1941. On the USS Arizona, the day began with reveille, sounding at 5:30 a.m., just as it did every other day. However, it was a Sunday, and since the ship had just returned to Pearl Harbor on Friday, after being underway for almost a week, the pace of the crew was slow. As the 1,500 crew members awoke, the ship came to life. Light chores were being completed on the quarterdeck, officers drank coffee in the wardroom, while sailors ate breakfast on the mess decks, and the ship's band members practiced on the fantail. It puts a smile on my face thinking of the activities taking place on the ship as I reflect on my time aboard Navy vessels. Just sailors being sailors and loving every minute of it. But this peaceful routine would be abruptly interrupted by the ship's air raid alarm at approximately 7:55 a.m. The sailors of the Arizona rushed to their battle station, many of which were below decks. These battle stations would have been located in ammunition magazines, engine rooms, and damage control lockers. If there were any doubt that the air raid alarms were a drill, that was settled as the first shells and bombs began to hit the ship shortly after 8 a.m. The Arizona would take 4 direct hits from 1,700-pound bombs. The last bomb penetrated the armored deck near Turret 2 at 8:06 a.m., detonating the forward magazine. The damage was catastrophic. After only 14 minutes from the first bomb hitting the Arizona, 1,177 crew members would perish, and the great ship would be resting beneath the water in Pearl Harbor. The attack would continue, and the Japanese would inflict many casualties and cause severe damage to the fleet. It is reputed that Japanese Admiral Yamamoto, upon receiving reports of the successful attack, said, "I fear all we have done is awaken a sleeping giant and fill him with terrible resolve." There is some question as to whether Admiral Yamamoto truly said that, or if that was a product of dramatic script writing for the movie Tora Tora Tora. Regardless, the statement was prophetic, as the United States would in fact show tremendous resolve in its response to the massive blow it has sustained. The USS Arizona wasn't the only ship to be sunk that day, but it had endured the greatest loss of life. Only 335 sailors from the Arizona survived the attack. It's hard to even comprehend that over 75% of the ship's crew was killed. I had heard the statistics before, but I didn't fully understand the magnitude of loss until my first visit to the USS Arizona Memorial in Pearl Harbor. I remember as I stepped foot onto the memorial, a sudden sadness fell over me. It was the sadness I had only felt at funerals of family and friends. I had visited many other sacred places before, such as Arlington and Rosecrans cemeteries, the battlefields of Gettysburg and Shiloh, yet I hadn't felt that same sadness. I'm not sure why I was sad. I did not know a single sailor on board, nor was I a distant relative to anybody who served. But it felt like I was grieving the loss of a loved one. How was it that this attack, which had happened 40 years before I was even born, was having such an impact on me? I had the same feeling of sadness as I toured this memorial last night. I didn't know why. I have completed 5 deployments on 5 different frigates. Every single one of them have been decommissioned. All 5 of those ships have been either sold to other countries or sunk to become artificial reefs. Those ships were my home for months at a time. They took me around the world into hostile environments and always brought me home safe. But I'm not sad that those ships are gone. I don't mourn their decommission. A warship is an engineering marvel, a large piece of steel loaded with guns and munitions, but it is truly a useless thing until you put sailors on it. Once those sailors are on board, it becomes a living, breathing part of America. Those sailors give the ship a soul and make it the most powerful asset in the defense of this great nation. As I examined the piece of the superstructure from the Arizona last night, I wasn't looking at some piece of metal. It wasn't like my ships that had been decommissioned, a rusty scrap, or a foreign vessel. This was a relic from a ship that still has 1,102 of my shipmates on board. Yes, the loss of life is sad, but my outlook changed almost immediately as I thought to myself, my shipmates are still on board. The USS Arizona still has its soul. She is still a living part of America. She will never sail again. Her crew will never shift colors to get underway again. She will never fire her 18-inch guns again. Her band will never compete in battle of the bands again. But her and her crew will continue to inspire and influence generations to come, that I am sure. I see resolve and commitment in the actions of my sailors from the most junior to senior every day. These men and women have chosen to serve their country in a time of war. Yes, we are currently at war, and lest we forget, we still suffer American casualties in the ongoing operations that are taking place today. Everyone who chooses to serve understands the commitment and sacrifice that goes into protecting this country. My sailors, just as those who served before them, took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and they will do what it takes to fulfill that obligation. It is our predecessors, like those who served on the Arizona, who provide us the model and have set the standard for the Navy core values, honor, courage, and commitment. They give us the resolve to meet whatever challenge we may face. December 7th, 1941 was surely a date which will live in infamy, and the loss of the Arizona was significant. Think, the story could have ended there, but it didn't. The USS Arizona has become a symbol of resilience and resolve. Because of this memorial, all of us sailors, soldiers, veterans and civilians, Americans and foreign visitors have a place in our community to reflect on that. Thank you to the Salt River Indian community for providing us with this beautiful memorial. And God bless the USS Arizona. God bless our veterans. God bless the sailors, airmen, soldiers, and Marines who continue to serve. God bless the Salt River, Pima-Maricopa Indian community. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
We're now headed over to see the lighting, the first lighting of the memorial. Kind of a lot of moving speeches were given, and
I encourage you to go all the way down to the relic room. I promise there's no bad views, so just keep on filling in.
Please join us and help Mr. Jack Holder and Mr. Bob Aguilar illuminate the USS Arizona Memorial Gardens at Salt River in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, gentlemen. To the audience, please take a couple minutes and look around and enjoy this beautiful memorial that we have.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm glad you're able to get over that.
My name is Christopher Kurz. I'm a Petty Officer First Class United States Navy, also known as a Master at Arms First Class. I am a Arizona native, born and raised in East Mesa and currently reside in Scottsdale, Arizona. I recently had the pleasure to do my last re-enlistment at the USS Arizona Memorial in downtown Phoenix, Arizona, for my remaining 6 years in the United States Navy. And so one of the big reasons why I really wanted to come out and enjoy this memorial today was the significance behind the emblem of it for our state of Arizona, as well as for the United States Navy, and show my presence and love and joy for those fellow veterans that are here, along with those ones that served and made the ultimate sacrifice. I had the pleasure to meet a couple of World War II veterans today as well, and it's a speechless feeling when you meet people who, during the time of uncertainty, served their country and did it gallantly without knowing what tomorrow may bring. The reason why I get to do what I do now and serve my country and get to meet fellow military members along courses of the Marine Corps and the Army and the Air Force, and have done what I've done, is because of men like that, women like that. So it was great, it was honorable. I don't know, it's almost speechless for me to try to explain to you the internal feeling that I felt with getting to shake his hand and thank him for how I feel and what I get to enjoy today.
My name is James Osif. I'm with the Red Mountain Riders from Salt River, Arizona, and this is Leonard Villanueva. We're a club here in Salt River, Arizona, a motorcycle. And listening to all the speakers that spoke tonight, I think the thing that kind of moved me was President Martin Javier's speech, and then Vice President's speech about how they attained the flag, when they went to get it, and the year was 2007, and that's kind of when we got involved, was in 2007 with the powwow. Since 2007, we've been doing the escort of the flag from the memorial each year.
A little bit deeper meaning for us because we are a community, Salt River Pima-Maricopa Indian community organization that does a lot of veteran events, and so Red Mountain Riders is always happy and proud to be part of it, and we respect our veterans. Although a lot of us weren't veterans, we get involved in support, you know, and just to thank them for us to ride free, you know, and that's a lot of bikers, you know, that's what it's about, our right to ride, and it just gives you the freedom, you know, and we couldn't have that without our fighting veterans. So
it's amazing to think how it all started out. Like Leonard said, and President, Vice President, and talked about the flag, that it all started with the flag. It all started with one request, and throughout the years, escorting the flag to the Capitol, escorting it through the community, escorting the veterans at different events throughout the year. We never thought that it would come to this, to a whole memorial being built as part of that. Coming here this evening to listen to all the speakers, to see all the veterans from surrounding communities, to see one of the survivors, it really gives you understanding and the love for those that are served or have served or are serving at the moment, to know, because a lot of us have family members that are in the service, and you pray every day that, you know, they come home safely, but at the same time, you know, they have a duty to their country, and if anything were to happen, you still love them in the same way, and you know that they're going to be safe, and that they're doing this, you know, for those that either can't or aren't able to serve their country, and they have a special character about them, and they're special people.
This has been a neat thing to be a part of, and I think the best thing is if you ever get a chance to come down and walk through this memorial yourself, to come and visit, to bring your family, that is something that you need to to feel, to experience. Just amazing when you look at all these lights around here, that those were sailors that lost their life on my behalf, on our behalf as citizens of this great country. And it's something that is visually puts it more into perspective. So if you get a chance, come down and see this, or create the opportunity to come down with your family and see this. It's a special place, and I just feel there's that reverence. To me, is I think the main word that I can see is just that reverence.
I'm really happy to see that this has all come about today, and can't wait to see how much more they're going to do in the future.